Hey everyone, Chris here from How Not to Do It, and today I'm going to be looking at flushing my brake lines on my 2011 3500 HD Chevy Duramax Silverado, for those that have one similar. So I'm going to be using this automatic, or pneumatic rather, brake bleeder from Harbor Freight. So, anyway, just got this in and we're gonna give it a run and see how it works. So, this thing comes with a reservoir to hold the new brake fluid that you're gonna put on your master cylinder, and then it's got a reservoir to catch the old fluid. You just hook your air hose in there, and then over here you hook a vacuum hose that goes to your line on your caliper, and then to your bleed screw on the caliper, and then that's pretty much it. You're just going to turn this valve here to create the vacuum. That's going to suck out the brake fluid, and this piece right here is going to go up and down, and you just lower this down into the max fill line until it touches the max fill line on your master cylinder. It keeps your master cylinder full while it's pulling the vacuum, and once you see clear fluid, you're good to go. Let's give it. Okay, just to give a little bit more information here, it's got these two caps that you can use to fit a standard brake fluid bottle. If you want to replace this large tank here with just a brake fluid bottle, you can go that route. It has a few adapters for your bleed screw to fit the different sizes. This is your vacuum hose that's going to attach to one of these, and then the other end attaches over here to, like I said before, that port on the reservoir here. And it's got this extra one, which is for emptying out your cylinder, master cylinder, so you can actually vacuum out the master cylinder before you start, so you don't waste fluid. So for this process, I'm going to be using just the DeWalt. It's a 200 psi air compressor, and this should be enough. I don't know, I guess we'll find out, but I think it has enough performance to be able to keep this thing running continuously. According to the specs, it should work. So beyond that, I don't think you need really anything else. Maybe a little bit of grease to put on these adapters here. I recommend putting grease not on the adapter itself, but around the outside of your bleed screw before you start, so we'll be doing that. That just helps create a seal. So just as a quick note before we get too far along, we do want to clean off all this dust around the master cylinder. I'm just going to blow it off with the air hose, and then we'll go ahead and grab something to clean that with and get it nice and clean, just to make sure no crud falls into your master cylinder. So, alright, so I got that dusted off, and then I'm just gonna, we'll just get it nice and clean. And then if you've got a filter in there, we'll need to remove the filter. We're gonna want to put that vacuum hose as far in there as we can. Okay, step one is gonna be make sure we have this air valve turned completely off, bleed out any extra air, and then we're going to hook that to here. We got that off there. That up to there. A little difficult to do with one hand. Right, that's on. And then we're going to get the vacuum hose for clearing out the master cylinder. And we'll pop that in place. Alright. Then we'll turn this up to the minimum pressure, which I need to go look and see what the minimum pressure is. I'll be right back. Okay, it is 60 to 120 psi. Alright, I've got my air compressor set to about
50, 60, it's like about 70. That should be fine. Right now it's in the off position. The air flow valve is turned off, so there's nothing creating the Venturi effect, so we're not going to have any vacuum on this line right now. I decided to go ahead and attach this extra line, which can go down into your master cylinder. So let's go ahead and get this positioned, and then just drop that down in your master cylinder. Get it as far in there as you can. And let's see here. Okay, now when I turn this on, should start to see flow. There it is. There we go. Get as much of that out of there as we can. Have to move it around until you get it all out of there. And as much of it as you can, because it's just want to have a nice clean reservoir to start with. Well, I think that's pretty much it right there.
We'll go ahead and shut that off.
That's good. All right, now we're going to disconnect that line there and put in the other line that we'll use back on the bleed screw on the back tire. Okay, so the next part of this process is going to be to fill this container up with new brake fluid and then mount it to the master cylinder.
All right, so we're going to take the lid off. And then let's set that aside on some of this plastic because I don't want this getting dirty at all. Okay, and then got some .3. Make sure you use the right type of brake fluid. And this container, they recommend, or this whole process, the system, don't use different types of brake fluid in there after you've used the first kind. So always stick with the same kind of brake fluid once you've started. So I'm just going to fill that up real quick. All right, so we got her filled up, and we'll just get that back on. Make sure it's tight. Now you should be able to look in this hole here and see that when you adjust this little valve right here on the side, right there, you should be able to see that it's open or closed. So for me, this is open, obviously, and that's closed. So you want to close that first, and then we're going to go mount it over your cylinder head, and that's just to unscrew this. You're going to open that clamp up. That's going to give you a space to clamp it down on the master cylinder cap area where the cap screws on. And this actually this tightens this plate around this connector. And so what you're going to do is you're going to untighten that, and that allows this to slide up and down, allowing the outlet to be longer or shorter, right? So what we're going to do is make it so that the very tip of this lands at the master cylinder's max level, if you can. Okay guys, so this, like I said before, this is my first time doing this, so I could be doing something wrong, but this just doesn't really fit very well on this. You can kind of tell that the edge of that outlet over there and the edge of this clamp that's supposed to like both fit down in the hole together, they don't really fit. Like, it's bigger than the hole, so I can't get this to go down any further. And clamping it doesn't hold it in place. Like, it's just kind of flopping around. So I don't know, I may try to I don't know, I may just... Okay, well, I got it on there as good as it'll go, I guess, so we're just gonna go with that. I opened it up. We'll see if it cuts off when it gets to the fill line. Oh yeah, pretty much did. So
I guess there's not a whole lot left in the bottom of that container now, so maybe I should fill it up again. Well, we'll just go with for now, I guess. No, I'm gonna fill that all the way up again, or at least halfway full. No, I'm gonna fill it all the way up because I'm gonna be flushing a lot of this out. So, all right, so I'm gonna turn that back to the closed position. We'll refill that, put it back on here, and then we'll go back to the first tire and get going on that. Okay, so when you're doing a bleed, you always want to start on the tire that is furthest away from the master cylinder. That's going to be my back right tire because my cylinder is in the front left. And so we're just going to climb up in here. You can see the bleed screw right there. It's still got a cap on it, which is a little surprising. And we'll just pull that cap off, clean it up real good, use some brake cleaner. And then put a little grease on it, and we should be ready to go. All right, I'm here under the truck now. I've got my vacuum ready. It's hooked up. Got a little dollop of grease on the end. I went ahead and used the larger connector. Got my wrench ready to go. And oops, that's not going to work because I can't turn it very far, so pull it off. I will move that over slightly. Next, trying to do this with one hand while I have the phone in my hand is a little difficult, so apologize if everything's cutting out of the frame here. All right, so we're connected again. Now what we'll do is we'll turn this on. We'll let it build up a vacuum first before we open that up. Okay. Now we'll open that up a little bit. Maybe. Maybe not. I will say these have never been worked on, to my knowledge. There we go. A little bit, not very much. And I think maybe that connector is a little bit too big. Oh, it's split already. Look at that. It's split already. Wow. All right, let's get a, well, I don't know what that means for using a smaller one, but is that one already split? That's not a good sign. Try smaller ones here. Okay. We got smaller ones. Bang. It all kind of looks the same size to me, so let's try that again. A little bit better, but just... Oh, you know what, guys? I had this dumb lid unscrewed. Of all the dumb things, this lid was unscrewed. Okay. Well, that totally explains why it wasn't such and... Right, where is... Alright. And that's why I call this How Not to Do It. What do you know? There we go. And it's going to wait for this to run nice and clean. It's going through. Now the bubbles are normal because it's just pulling air in around here from this connector. It's not pulling it out of my brake line. I sure hope. That's what the instruction manual says anyway. So wait till that runs clear. We'll go ahead and turn that off.
Now we're just doing a double check. That's still quite a bit in there. We're going to go double check and make sure that you still have plenty of fluid. Well, that's interesting because I don't think... I don't think I pulled out as much as I thought. It looked like a lot was coming out, but this guy's still relatively full, so we just want to make sure of that before we move on. And it's still, yeah, it's still at the max level, so we're good. So we'll keep going. All right, back on this end. It's starting to look a little bit more serious. I think we're really close. Let's see. A little more clear out, and we'll be almost there. I think that's looking clear to me. Clear enough. Yep, not quite as brown as it was, so. Alright, we'll just pull this off. Let's just double check. Make sure that's nice and tight. We don't want any hairs getting in our brake lines, guys. Nice and tight. Let's pull this off. We'll let that suck the rest in there. Kind of lifts the line up over the top here. And we'll stud it off. That's it for the first one. Now we move on to the other back tire. Okay, guys, it didn't bother doing the left tire, recording the left tire on the back. So here's the front right tire. That's the next one after the rear left, in my case. Again, 2011 Duramax. So what I found, it was probably going to be easier to go around the inside of the tire like this to get to that point right there in the middle. So that's where we're going to attach. And I apologize if you can't see it, because I can't see the phone, so pop that right there on there. And by the way, I replaced this with a smaller head, smaller adapter, for that back left tire when I did it, and it didn't really help the bubble situation. I was kind of hoping it would help the bubbles, so it didn't though. So let's get this going. And guys, maybe you can help me find my wrench. Anybody see my wrench? That's probably it, way over there. And we're back. I broke it loose. Let's try that again. There we go. Now this shouldn't take very long to turn clear. Okay, we're going to turn it off for just a second. And we're going to check again. And we want to keep an eye on this over here. We want to just make sure that's not empty. Ever. Okay? Let's keep going. That still looks pretty grimy to me. Well, maybe starting to look better now. That looks pretty clear, I think. Is it? Getting close. Seeing a little bit of junk in there. All right, let's call that good. We'll tighten that back up. And we'll go on to the last tire.
Alright guys, this is complete. I went ahead and disconnected it. I did this last tire. Didn't see any point in showing you that. So before we do anything else, you're going to want to make sure this is turned off. You're going to want to rotate this here to the off position. Still had a little bit of fluid left, as you could see. I've got another vehicle that needs a little bit of topped off fluid, so we're going to put that in there. Make sure that you bleed your valve before you disconnect it. So we'll let that bleed out. And then just pop that off. And then we're done. So dispose of this at your local waste center. Auto parts stores for the most part won't take this brake fluid. It's a different type of fluid from oils, so you can't recycle it with like your typical oil, transmission fluid and engine oil and stuff like that. So you'll have to find a place to take it. What else is important? I forgot to mention you need to chalk your tires when you do this. I totally forgot to do that. I'm not sure why, but probably not a bad idea to do it. You're messing with the brake system, so I'm on pretty level ground, and it's probably okay, I guess. I don't know. Maybe since I was just doing one brake at a time. Anyway, that's pretty much it. All that's left is to take this off, put the cap on, and then push the brake pedal a few times, 4 or 5 times, and then do a small test, just like a little short, let off the brake a little bit, make sure that it still brakes, and before you go driving around crazy. Make sure the brake is nice and firm whenever you depress it, and that's pretty much it. I think that's, I'll let you know if anything goes wrong, but I think it was pretty straightforward and pretty simple process. Didn't take me very long. Yeah, so I would recommend it. It's a pretty good product. They're not sponsored, so I'm just a DIY guy doing things the wrong way, and this one went for the most part right. Only screwed up a few times, so pretty good for me. All right, catch you guys later. Okay, one more little note. That right there is above the max fill line. Pretty significant amount, so I'm gonna be sucking out some of that. I will say this device didn't really have a way to go any further down. It's like, you can see right here, this piece right here is all the way down, so there wasn't any space for it to go down further, for this to get longer to stick down in my reservoir, and that'd be the only way that would work. Now, it might have been a problem of the fact that this and this, like together, this, I guess the diameter between this wall and this wall was bigger than the inlet on where my cap fits, so that probably messed it up. It wasn't sitting flush with this piece, so that may be why I couldn't get it down any further. But it's a nice attempt. It's just a little bit of extra fluid I'll have to suck back out and trash, but for the most part, I give it, do it yourself. You're gonna have a few quirks, so better than paying somebody hundreds of dollars.